What's going on, folks? You have Lawrence Young here with Fantastic Forum. It's Comic-Con 2014, and we are standing with Erika Alexander and Tony Puryear, the creators of Concrete Park. Thank you guys so much once again.
Oh,
Thank you for having us.
Look, it's interesting because, you know, this is it's almost become like a Comic-Con tradition where we get to talk to one another, which I'm excited about. And the fact is, this year especially, it seems like the industry has finally caught up with the ideas that you guys have been putting out for like the last three years. How's it feel to be innovators of basically minorities in comics?
Wow.
Wow, it feels great. We're very proud of the fact that people are catching on to the book. They're hearing about the fact that it's coming out September 3rd. We just had a signing, and we had America's gorgeous mosaic there in the signing. This Comic-Con is getting more colorful every year, and the fans are starting to hear about Concrete Park. We're very proud of the book we're putting out, and I think we are getting some traction even with press. Thank you very much for being on this from the first.
Absolute. I mean, the story. It's really interesting because there's been just that push. Even it just seems the emphasis has changed, where people are like, okay, where are the people of color in science fiction? Where are the female, strong female lead characters?
Right.
And it's like everything that everyone's trying to talk about is encapsulated in Concrete Park. I mean, Erika, talk a little bit about why it is that ended up being the case between the two of you guys. Like how you figured out this was where comics need to go.
Well, it's funny because most of the time, if you're a creator, you're kind of just doing things that you'd like to see. You're not necessarily trying to answer a question or maybe solve a social dilemma or a problem, because it's been an ongoing issue for people of color to see themselves as full participants inside of all creative stories, especially science fiction and fantasy. So we were doing this, and in a way we were inspired by City of God. We saw City of God years ago, and we thought, wouldn't it be great if we saw that type of thing done on another planet, where you could take people you wouldn't ordinarily see and put them in positions and stories and places and tell narratives and what did we call them?
Morality tales.
Morality tales with them.
Like Star Trek.
Yeah, so we tried to create a place that they could be, and my brother happened to come up with the name Concrete Park, and we started riffing around that idea, and his initial idea was in space. So you have to understand that this has come a long way from several different places and minds to come to this one spot here, and we're glad that Dark Horse and Mike Richardson gave us a shot, because one of the reasons why we're here is because it was hard to get this type of a project going in traditional Hollywood.
Right. Tony, why don't you speak? I mean, Concrete Park, as far as its initial publishing, was in Dark Horse Presents, so it's presented in anthology format. September, you guys get your first collected. Why don't you talk about talk a little bit about what the world looks like for those that maybe didn't get to see it because it was in anthology format.
Sure thing. The idea is it's like an Australia in space. Earth's poor youth have been shipped in this near future. Earth's poor youth have been shipped off to this very barren other planet. Keeping the metaphor of Australia, you know, Great Britain shipped all its poor people off to Australia, a presumably uninhabited continent that they could make a new world on. Of course, it wasn't uninhabited. There was folks already there. Similarly, our planet, called Oasis, when these human exiles start arriving, they can look up in space and see a distant dot, and that's the Earth, but they can never get back there. They're stuck there. But this seemingly barren planet is also not uninhabited, and conflicts ensue. And so these human exiles have got a question. Are they going to repeat and reproduce all the violence, the tribalism, the hatred they left behind on Earth, or are they going to make something new? That's the crucible. That's the sort of pressure cooker of Concrete Park.
And you know, Lawrence, what's freaky is I'm realizing, because I watched CNN this morning, that a lot of this stuff is coming to bear on us right now, not just in the Gaza Strip, but everybody coming up from South America across, running away from these gangs, these really violent factions that have uprooted normal civilization or society or whatever we might think would be normal to them.
You know,
and we're really, I was actually kind of marveling that this parrots that a little bit.
What she's saying is so true. If you look at how many exiles there are on the road tonight in America, that spirit of exile, of being cut off and cut loose from your home, is what Concrete Park is about. There's a sadness to it, but I hope there's also a hopeful beat to it. that sometimes these exiles will make a home or find a home.
I tell you,
It's gotta be sexy and funky.
And it's got to be funky.
I tell you, man, it is crazy because it's like so many different themes. Like the book is so layered, and that's really the thing. Whereas like if you want to just take it as a cool sci-fi romp, you can do that. If you want to look at it as like a socio-political kind of statement, you can do that too. If you want to go ahead and think about it in the vein of like race relations and how people deal with each other, you can do that as well. And I mean, realistically, it's like how much of that is actually intentional and how much of it is just what brews around in and I know
it's intentional because we're so smart. As creators, we put all that mess in there. I'm serious.
Don't come for us.
Don't come for us.
What you talking about?
Because
The whole mess experience up
but
in
I'm telling
here.
you something.
We ain't just roll a dice on this.
I'll tell you something. If we do our job well, this is a Dickens novel. If we do our job well, it's a Russian novel from the 19th century that tells how we live today as seen through another lens. Like science fiction gives you that ability to talk about how we live today. So believe me, those many meanings and those, I hope, unforgettable characters, if we do our job right, that's intentional. That's what we're trying to do. That's the ambition.
If we do our job right, it also feels and looks like a James Brown song or
Funky.
Funky.
We hope it looks
If we do our job right, it has the poetry of a Gabriel
Garcia Marquez.
I mean, these are people that have influenced us, and we're hoping to have a little piece of that.
Of that
And
mojo.
by the way, we worked really hard. When I say just trying to really do a really, just do the job of doing a comic book, which is extremely high level of difficulty because we're coming from a whole nother place. Even though he writes pictures and I've been in pictures, this is something that to connect art with it and to really find a way to do it in a very simple, quick way has been a beast. It's been a beast.
I want to say a couple of things to the fans. Number one, our first issue of our 5-issue miniseries comes out September 3rd. We have a hardcover coming out October 14th. You can pre-order it now on Amazon. You can buy it at Barnes & Noble. The great thing about the hardcover and the first issue of our floppy comic, it's got a map. You can't have a credible fictional universe like George R.R. Martin or J.R.R. Tolkien without a map. Baby, we got the map to end all maps, and we hope fans will want to live and explore in this world of Concrete Park.
And by the way, we also really respect the comic book retailers that every day some have some difficulty getting people to come in and buy the floppies. So we have a special for September 3rd. We have a special story that you can only get in the floppy. It won't be digital. Won't be anywhere else.
Only in stores.
Only in stores. So
it's a bonus
that's a bonus. It's a Talladega story. You find out that she's a quite a unique character. But that's us trying to also give a shout out and a thanks to the retailers.
Nice. Look, realistically, these two make my job so easy. Like this is Erika Alexander. It's Tony Puryear. Go get Concrete Park in September 3rd.
September 3rd.
Go. It's in stores. Go get it.
And thank you, because he was one of the first people to give us a shot
Lawrence was
and
on it.
come and let us tell our story to you. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Lawrence.